So this might be a very controversial thing to think, and I'm kind of glad that I created this channel so I can air out my opinions and grievances with certain topics that probably wouldn't fly on my other channel. Also because it's has nothing to do with the topics that I discuss on the main channel. But I hate the Time's Up movement. I hate what it's become. I think it sucks. And I think it's just a witch hunt disguised, or it's a witch hunt hidden under the guise of progressivism, equality, and justice. When it's none of those things. It's not progressive. Why is it not progressive? Because it does more to divide than it does to unite. Progressive ideologies are supposed to progress us forward. This feels more like a regression, going back to a time where only one sex was on top and the other was demonized or treated lesser. I mean, do you not see that by the way a lot of these women are acting and treating other men, demonizing them, making them feel like they're awful people when that's not the case most of the time? Now, is that to say that it's all the time? No, of course. There is always going to be a handful of creeps out there in the world. That's a given, you know? But we shouldn't vilify good people either. You don't help your case in doing that. That's what I mean by it's not progressive. It feels very regressive because we're lumping everybody together. There's no nuance to the movement. It's either you're good or you're bad. There's no gray areas. There's no like, well, it could have been a misunderstanding. Let's hear the other side of the story. It's like, no, this side of the story, that's it. You're a scumbag. At least that's the feeling that I've been getting. That's the things that I've been seeing. I've not heard yet about a man's side of the story being taken with any sort of validity. It's the woman that's like propped up and yeah, you're right. And then the man is scorned. And a lot of them go into hiding because they know that their story's not going to be heard. What does that remind you of? That reminds me of victims. And it's ironic. It really is that the movement that's supposed to give a voice to victims is not giving a voice to male victims. Kind of one-sided. Did you see what I mean by not being progressive? It's not equality. I just made it clear already. You know, one sex is put over the other sex. Where's the equality? If there's going to be equality, then shouldn't both sexes be on the same should be on the same level, correct? That's what equality is, right? But it feels like it's very one-sided. One side is heard and believed, the other side is condemned and vilified. No one wants to believe James Franco. They don't think he has any sort of credibility when it comes to the accusations of his accused or his victims. I actually saw this video where they got the victims and they actually described what happened to them. One of them accused James Franco of saying mean things to her, like being aggressively mean. How's that part of the Me Too movement? How's that part of the Time's Up movement? Did he assault you? No, he just said words. Get over it then. Where is the assault? I want to see what in that was the assault. There's no assault there. He said mean things. Get over it. One of the women says that James made her do a sex scene that she wasn't comfortable with. Newsflash, woman, you were paid to do that. If you really didn't want to do it, guess what? You didn't have to. You could have signed a contract or make a contract saying, I don't want to do a sex scene. You act as though you didn't have the power to say no. You do. And I think the third one was like she got into a car with James Franco and he started like making out with her or like doing sexual things with her. Now that one's a bit more straightforward, but did she ever refuse it is the question. Now, I think she said in the interview that she didn't feel like she had the power to refuse him because he was such a powerful man, to which I say, fair point. A lot of women felt that way because they wanted careers. And if they were to turn down a very powerful man, it might hurt their chances. But if you really are uncomfortable, you should voice it. And I think James would be a person that would be understanding. You know, he's not some old school Hollywood creep. He's one of, like, he is part of the modern times. He believes in that shit. He believed in it years ago. So if you said you were uncomfortable, I'm pretty sure James would have stopped. He's not a creep like that. And all three of these women said that their interactions with James changed the way that they saw Hollywood and killed their dreams. If those little moments were enough to kill your dreams weren't strong enough to begin with. Mean words killed your dreams. Guess what? If you're on YouTube, you would never make it because you'd be reading the comment section the whole time and seeing all these people say such vile things, and you wouldn't be able to put up with it. What, someone, you did a sex scene that made you feel uncomfortable? Well, again, you had the power to say no. You signed a contract. It's not like he lied to you in the contract, like he just made you just sign it without reading the fine print. I'm very sure he made you read the fine print. This is what you'll have to do. Are you comfortable with it? If you are, sign right here. The last woman, I see maybe why her dream was crushed. It makes sense. But again, she had the power to do something and she didn't do it. And that's the heartbreaking part of it. And hopefully now that, you know, there is the Me Too movement, she's able to voice it out and won't let it happen again. So I don't think there's any equality in the times of movement. And lastly, justice. What justice? Have any of these men been taken to court, or have they just been shunned, or have they been put through the trial of public opinion? It's the latter. It's not the former. If these assaults were as bad as a lot of people were saying, why are you airing these grievances out in public? Why are you posting them on Twitter? James Franco put it best. The conversation should not be on Twitter. The conversation needs to be in a court of law. Does that not make sense? The main reason why I wanted to make this video is because I wanted to share a video with you guys. I saw this on a channel called The Chronicles of Judea 1466, I believe is his name. He's a very bizarre guy here on YouTube. Sometimes I agree with his opinions, and I would say, okay, maybe 75% of the time I agree with his opinions. Then he goes on this fucking conspiracy theory mumbo jumbo shit that makes me go, okay, man, maybe you're stretching it a bit. I don't buy that shit. But I want to share this video. It's called Oprah Winfrey on Time's Up and the Climate of Change. This is a very interesting video, and it really shined a lot of light when it comes to the people behind the Time's Up movement and the movement itself, and how, as of now, it looks like an unmitigated mess. And I'm going to show you. But before that, let me just read some of your comments. Attention, everyone. The Me Too movement is basically a movement to expose and catch celebrities that do sexual harassment or assault, but they've taken advantage of the movement. Tony, sorry to go off topic, but do you really have to? Oh, let's see. What's going on here, Tony? I'm talking about the Time's Up movement. That's what's going on here. Can I have some context? Context to what? Oh, what even is Time's Up? But Time's Up's a movement that started, that kind of springboarded off the Me Too movement, where basically they're telling powerful men in Hollywood, guess what? Your time is up. Your old ways of thinking is over, even though that's not the majority. I would say, well, see, that's hard because I don't know the Hollywood system. But a lot of the women who are a part of the Time's Up movement, they know. And why is only now in 2018 time is up? Time should have been up 15 years ago for these guys. If you mean to tell me that Oprah Winfrey, the most powerful person, not just the most powerful one, the most powerful person in the world, was not able to bring down Harvey Weinstein, I think you're lying out of your ass. She could have done it. She decided not to do it because she just didn't want to ruin her professional relationship, because that's the way the game works, guys. Sometimes you put up with intolerable shits just so that you can get what you want. That's the Hollywood game. Like, anyone who tells you differently is lying. That's the Hollywood game. All right. Well, let's get to the. I believe the scandal involving Enzo is one of the definitions to why any woman can use the Me Too movement as a way to fool anyone and gain fame and attention. Ooh, I'm gonna need some context for that. I don't know who Enzo is. Let's see. Well, it's good. Well, it's a good thing this has nothing to do with the world ending, huh? I don't even know, man. I don't see why everyone talks about what happens to the women, but you barely hear anyone outing the pedophiles in Hollywood. That is a fair point. Why aren't we focusing on that? There are a shit ton of pedophiles. They should be part of this Time's Up movement. Why is it only see what I mean? Women hijacked the movement and now they want to make it all about them. When I get, again, if this is about equality, it should be all inclusive. Every story needs to be heard. Not just, well, he assaulted me, he sexually harassed me, he raped me. There are many different types of assault that happen in Hollywood, and it should be time's up for them too. Okay, now let's get to this video. Now, the way I'm going to do it is like this. I'm just going to take this. I don't know if I'm going to do this right. Let me just, hold on. Let me just make sure that the video's like, oh, whoops. Trying to make sure that this video's, fuck. I don't think it's properly, hold up. Trying to make sure you can see what's on the screen. So give me a second. Just right there. Let's try that. Okay. Come on. There we go. All right. That should be good enough. Can you guys see the screen? Can you guys see the screen? Tell me. I just want to make sure you guys can see the screen. And it's not like blurry or anything. Some POV action. Okay, he got one comment. I'm going to just assume you guys can see the screen. So let's start this video now.
But now, on a rainy Southern California.
By the way, is that rain or is that somebody like moving their mic like that? I'm going to assume it's rain.
We gathered some of the women who helped start it all. So who is the head of the group?
I want you guys to listen to this part very carefully. Listen.
We gathered some of the women who helped start it all. So who is the head of the group? Is it an organization? Is it a group? Is it a movement? Is it a campaign?
At this moment, it's a campaign. And we're all sort of workers among workers and women among women sort of rolling up our sleeves and doing whatever sort of comes to the forefront.
How
Oh,
do you get things done with no leader?
Well, we're women.
And what?
did you hear that? They have no leader. There's no leader for the movement. It's just like, oh, it's a campaign. Well, campaigns have leaders too. Any sort of movement, any sort of organization, well, even it doesn't even need to be one leader. It could be a group of leaders. All 7 of these women right here can be the leader. I don't see why they can't. Why didn't they just say all of us? We're all the leaders. All 7 of us have equal power, and all of us come together to make a decision. I do like this woman's face right here. She's a lawyer. She's an entertainment lawyer. While everyone else is like laughing and giggling, she looks kind of irritated by the line that she just said, like, oh, we're women. In fact, let me go back a little bit. But that's red flag number 1. The Time's Up movement has no leader. So where's the direction? Who's leading the charge? That's one of my biggest problems with the movement. Who's leading it? If there's no leader, that's a problem. Every good movement, every good organization, any good campaign needs someone with a vision to lead it into the direction that they hope to take it. It seems as though these women don't have a direction for their cause. They're just doing it because, oh yeah, let's get back at these terrible men. How dare they have all this power? Now we should have the power. That's what it comes off at. It comes off as people with less that want more, even though these women are powerful women in Hollywood. So the whole and shit, that's Kathleen Kennedy, the person that runs Lucasfilm. She's probably the most powerful woman on this in this panel, talking about how she's powerless. Give me a fucking break. Now I'm gonna go back a little bit.
An organization? Is it a group? Is it a movement? Is it a campaign?
At this moment, it's a campaign.
Campaigns have leaders.
All sort of workers among workers and women among women sort of roll.
Another thing, she said they're workers among workers. Unions also have leaders, by the way. They have representatives that talk to the big businesses to make sure that what they want in their little union gets through. Because if someone can speak for the group, that's more helpful than just the whole group going there and it's just being a cluttered noise. Again, leadership is important.
Rolling up our sleeves and doing whatever sort of comes to the forefront.
So basically, they do it on the fly.
How do you get things done with no leader?
Well, we're women.
And black people
Did you hear that? Listen to it again.
done with no leader.
Well, we're doing whatever sort of comes to the forefront.
How do you get things done with no leader?
Well, we're women.
You hear that? Such hypocrisy. That line made me cringe, and I'll tell you why. The whole idea of the feminist movement is that women should not be judged by their sex, they should be judged by their merits. It's about, if feminism is truly about equality for all genders, why is she saying something like that? That makes it seem as though women are more powerful to do stuff like this than men are. I know that might be a reach for some, and I'm sure maybe she was joking, but I don't know, man. In a conversation like this, that just seemed very hypocritical. You shouldn't say because we're women. You could have said because, we're strong, we're smart, we know what to do. But she just tosses it in like, oh, because we're women. That doesn't say anything to me. If a group of men were sitting around just like this, and Oprah asked that same question, and she said, oh, it's because we're men, it would not be accepted the same way as what she said. And I love the fact that all of these women are laughing, but she seems very like this is the person out of the group that I honestly think is trying to take this movement seriously and wants to see stuff get done. And it makes sense because she's a lawyer. She's all about getting to the bottom of things, making sure that all things are done. These are entertainers. All 6 of these women are entertainers. They don't really know how to do the legal system that much. She's the only one. That's why I think if she says something, I take it with more. I take it with more respect and veneration because she means business. All these women, I don't know. They might have some agendas coming here. I don't know. But yeah, I didn't like the whole because we're women line because I thought you were supposed to be above that. That's not what the conversation's about. The conversation's about we need to make sure that stuff like what happened with Harvey Weinstein does not happen anymore. That's the point of the Time's Up movement, to let men know that it's time's up, or to let sex offenders, those who commit terrible acts in Hollywood, that it's time up. All right, let's move on. We've been on this point for too long.
And what exceptional women they are. Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy, force behind the Star Wars movies.
That's pretty clever. The force behind the Star Wars movies. But again, she is a powerful woman. Like, I don't see how she can't get shit done. I don't understand why she can't be the leader. Why can't she? She has a lot of pull in Hollywood. Make her the leader. Make her the face. Even though I don't think she'd be the right person to be the face.
Mega producer Shonda Rhimes, creator of hit TV shows including Grey's Anatomy and Scandal. Entertainment attorney Nina Shaw.
See, look at her. Look how very serious she is in this interview. She is taking this seriously. She believes in this cause more so than any of the other women, I think. She thinks that something does need to get done. So I respect her for that. And I like the fact that she didn't laugh at that joke that her name escapes me. I know it's down here somewhere. Where is it? Tracy Ellis Ross, that's her name. She's on Blackish.
And actresses America Ferrera, Natalie Portman, Tracy Ellis Ross, Reese Witherspoon.
By the way, out of all the entertainers, the actresses, Reese Witherspoon is the only one I think has any sort of credibility. I've heard about her story back in the 2000s about how she was assaulted as a teenager. So when she shared her story, I believed it because this was a story that was very well known in Hollywood, and she has always had kind of like her guard up ever since that incident. And I respected her years ago for opening up about that story. And I'm glad that she's part of this movement, although I wish she would help the movement find its footing, get some direction. You know, being somebody that's actually experienced some trauma like this, I think she would definitely know what needs to be done, how we should fix it. Although we're going to come back to her in a bit because she's asked a question that I feel like she could have answered, but she just dodges it completely.
Beyond raising awareness, how is this going to help the waitress, the farm worker, the factory worker, the caregiver?
Good question, Oprah. Because right now, all I see in this panel is a bunch of elitists. I don't see one farm worker. I don't see one engineer. I don't see a housewife. I don't see anybody besides Hollywood elites. If anything, they should be part of the conversation. Why are you interviewing them? If it's about them, shouldn't they be the forefront? Shouldn't they be the face? That's just me.
We have to maintain the momentum of this conversation because
No, your job's not just to maintain the momentum. It's about getting shit done. You are all powerful women. Get shit done. It's not about the momentum will stay there. Your job now is to make sure that you fulfill what you set out to do.
they can. It's not only in what we're doing with a group like Time's Up, but it's in the content we're creating, the conversations we're having. We have to continue this work because we do have the spotlight.
They also have the money. The $16 million Time's Up Legal Defense Fund can help harassment victims get a lawyer if they need one. There's so many men and women now who are uncomfortable in their workplaces because of all that's been uncovered and aren't just really sure how to be. What do we say to them?
We're humans. We're all humans. And I think it's treating people as fellow humans.
If that's the case, then why are you vilifying all of these people that are accused, not convicted, accused, alleged to have committed sexual assault? Why are they demonized? Why are they treated like lesser than humans? They get attacked by the public mob because some person said, "Hey, this guy assaulted me," and then they're automatically believed. If we're trying to treat people like humans, shouldn't we all treat each other like humans? Now, her point is that women should be treated like humans, and I don't see why they're not. Like in this day and age, how are they not? I feel like it's more or less people with the old school mentality treat women as if they're objects. But most people nowadays do not think that way. They do not. In fact, let's back up a little bit.
Just really sure how to women now who are uncomfortable in their workplaces because of all that's been uncovered and aren't just really sure how to be. What do we say to them?
We're humans. We're all humans. And I think it's treating
people as fellow humans. And it's not because you have a daughter that you respect a woman. It's not because you have a wife or a sister. It's because we're human beings, whether
Any person that uses the excuse that they respect women because he has a wife or a daughter or something like that, that I don't know if they really should be believed. That's the equivalent of saying like I like black people because I have black friends. I don't think you really need to explain that to somebody. I don't think you need to be like, well, because I have a daughter, I respect women. You could be a complete creep, and you could have a daughter and be a complete creep. You could be married but cheat on your wife. That doesn't mean you respect women. If you really respected women, you would treat them with the same type of admiration and respect that you want to be treated with. So I do agree with Natalie to that sense. Like, just saying those lines does not make you respect women and stuff like that. Moving on.
we're related to a man or not, we deserve the same respect. We have an instinct about how to treat our fellow human beings.
Oh, you mean like vilifying them, putting their names out so that the public can defame them and attack them and call them all these things that they're not? Yeah, you definitely seem to have a good eye for that. Good eye for that.
Were there those of you who joined because you were also a woman who could say, me too?
Yes.
So you see that? Did you see that?
Because you were also a woman who could say, me too.
Yes.
Immediately. She immediately said it. Because it's true. What happened to her actually happened. So, of course, and I find it interesting because America Ferrera is also going to share a story about how she was assaulted at the age of 9, I believe is her story. She should have instantaneously said yes, too. I'm glad that she spoke out. See, this is what I mean by, I believe Reese's story because she does believe, like, she has shared this story before. This is a true thing. That's why she jumped onto this campaign because she believed in it so much. So that's why I respect what she was hoping to do, what she was hoping to contribute to this movement. But again, she's going to answer a question later on that just made me go, oh man, come on. Come on, Reese. You could have answered that a little better.
Yes.
Speak to that, Reese.
Me too. I have been very open that I was assaulted. It's important that people know that silence. I'm
Assaulted at 16 on one of your first movies.
Yes.
The first time I actually heard from Reese was after I had posted my Me Too message.
Remind us of what you posted.
I posted vaguely about an incident of when I was 9 years old.
I'm kind of, I mean, I don't mean to, put America Ferrera down or to say that her story isn't legitimate, but why is she being vague about it? At this point, shouldn't she be more explicit? I mean, this person can't harm her anymore, and by bringing up this story, it might even humanize her a bit more in this conversation. I rather she share the story. I rather she share the person's name. If this guy is still out there and is still doing what he's doing nowadays, he should be reported. She was 9 years old when she was assaulted. He is both a pedophile and a sexual assaulter. He needs to be brought to justice. In America, you're not doing anybody a favor by just keeping his name silent. It's time's up, America. That's pretty interesting. Her name is America. It's time's up though. And he should be brought to the flames. If what you're saying is true, he should be brought to the flames. Just saying.
Being assaulted by a man who I was then sort of forced to see afterwards for a long time. And what struck me about my experience was his certainty that I would be silent. And he was right. He was right for 24 years.
Did you all see on Golden Globes that Sunday, Dylan Farrow tweeted about Time's Up, saying that when she came forward about her alleged abuser, Woody Allen, 4 years ago, that she thought his time was up. I think he was getting the same award that I received. And she says she thought his time was up, but it wasn't, and she asked, is time really up now? What would you want to say to her?
I hope so. I'll be honest, I don't know anybody else, but I hope so.
That's the appropriate response. I personally believe, yes. Time is up for what Woody Allen did. In fact, if I remember correctly, the guy who started it was the brother of Dylan Farrow, and he brought down Harvey Weinstein. So he did that in order to bring down Woody Allen. That's the story that I heard, and I believe it. And I stand by her words. If this truly happened, which it's been on record that it did happen, and I think there was a story about it not too long ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, about this. So, and I don't know why it didn't cause much of a ruckus in Hollywood. It should have. But listen to what Kathleen Kennedy says after she made that really strong statement.
I'd like to believe the time's up for silence.
Wrong, Kathleen. Wrong. The time's up for silence was the Me Too movement. Time's up. The movement is time's up for these guys getting away with their crimes. It's time to bring it to light. That was the whole antithesis to the Time's Up movement. What this came off as is you trying to defend Woody. I don't understand why you would. It's time's up for him if he truly did these despicable things. It's not time's up for silence. It's time's up for the people who did this shit. Time's up for silence, my ass, Kathleen. Time's up for silence should have started years ago. It's time's up for these men to get away with it.
We can start there.
You already started there.
I believe Dylan. I want to say that. I believe you, Dylan.
She needs more than your belief. She needs action, okay? You can believe somebody all you want, but you got to take action. Back your words up.
It should be noted that Allen has denied Dylan's allegations, and following 2 investigations, no charges have ever been filed against him.
Why? If these claims are to be believed, why have there not been any charges? I don't get it.
Still, the larger issues remain.
I think a big part of this too is not just changing the written rules, but the unwritten rules. And I think what we are experiencing right now is a tectonic shift underneath our feet, and where women and men are feeling like we can no longer not say the truth. And when the truth...
Then how come men are not involved in any of these discussions, these protests? Why is there not a man sitting in this panel? If this is supposed to be all-inclusive, shouldn't you give a voice to men in this panel? In this interview, shouldn't there be a representative at least? If you want to make this inclusive, you really want to stand by your words, there should have been a man that was a part of this interview. There should have been a man at the part of the head of this movement. As it stands right now, it's very one-sided to one gender.
With this said, there is maybe a ripple in our culture right now that is going to allow for there to be a change.
I feel like there's like a constructive fury.
Where? Can you elaborate where the constructive fury is? Because to be constructive is to point out, address a problem, and then find ways to fix it. You've addressed the problem. What's your solution? And as you'll see as this interview goes on, none of them have solutions. So where's the constructiveness? And even beyond these 7 women, let's go to the internet. Where's the constructive or the constructive fury on the internet? All I see is fury. Where's the constructiveness? People are easily will condemn others, vilify them. I don't see no constructiveness in that. How does that build bridges? How does that bring us together? Constructivism, or to be constructive, again, is to address the problem and find ways to fix it and move on. That's like, you give a paper to your teacher And her idea of being constructive with grading the papers, it made me feel bad, and I didn't like it. Okay, F minus or F minus F. To be constructive is to point out what were the problems in that paper and what you need to do in order to fix it. So yeah, I don't see this whole constructive theory point that you're making.
That has resulted in a resolute pursuit of equity. Like there's like
Equity? For those of you who don't know what the word equity means, it's similar to equality. Where's the equity in this movement? Again, there are no men in this interview. Most of the people being accused of these sexual assaults are men. Most of the people who are dealing with the backlash from these movements are men. Where's the equity? I don't see an equity. If we're all equal, then I don't know how to word that properly. I just don't see this so-called equity. If there's supposed to be equity, if we're all equal, why aren't there any men speaking out more? Why aren't their points being heard? Both the accused and the accusers. I've heard 2 cases so far where men accused other people of assault. And that the first one and the biggest one was the Kevin Spacey one, where one of the actors, I believe his name is Anthony Rapp, shared a detailed story about in the 80s when he was a teenager, he was invited to a party by Kevin and almost had his way with him. And then there was another dealing with George Takei. That's the only ones, the only men. And keep in mind, those are gay men. What about men that are assaulted or maybe even sexually harassed by women? Will they get a platform if they come out and say, this woman sexually assaulted me? Will they be believed? If they are, then I believe in your equity statement. If they're not, bullshit.
like this, as you said, that tectonic shift, and then like something has galvanized that we're all like, this is not just my hurt, this is more than my hurt. This is not just my anger, this is our anger. And instead of it just being a feeling, it's becoming an action.
I've heard the confusion about the difference between, or the different, people are afraid to even say there's a difference between inappropriate behavior, inappropriate comments, and sexual assault, and sexual predators, and rape. There is a difference.
There isn't.
Great question and great response. I'm glad, Oprah, I'm proud of you. That's why I put a comment on this video saying the only person that came out looking good in this interview was Oprah, because she asked the right questions and she made the right statements. And it's right. In fact, I want you guys to hear that again, because it needs to be said more often, because the people who are like throwing out all these accusations, they can't tell the difference now. If you say an inappropriate thing, they consider that to be some type of sexual assault or harassment. I'm glad that she pointed it out. Okay, Oprah again.
An action.
I've heard the confusion about the difference between, or the different.
The fact that there's even any sort of confusion is baffling to me. Are you serious? You can't tell the difference between someone saying something inappropriate and someone assaulting you? There's a huge difference, as one is physical, the other is verbal.
People are afraid to even say there's a difference between inappropriate.
Why would they be afraid? They should speak out more on that. I thought it's time's up, isn't it? Isn't it time up to speak out? People need to speak out about that then.
Behavior, inappropriate comments, and sexual assault, and sexual predators, and rape. There is a difference.
There is a difference, but there's a culture that's one part of it supports the other. There's
What? I need proof. I need proof. What? How do you go from saying something inappropriate and supporting people that sexually assault things? I say a lot of inappropriate shit. That doesn't mean that I support rapists and assaulters. That's complete bullshit. That whole rhetoric. That's the main reason why there's such a confusion. Because of people like her that disseminate the idea that there is no difference. You should have stopped right there when you said that there is a difference. The end. Don't say but. Don't go in, don't elaborate any further. Like, well, there is a difference, but you know the blah, 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 blah. No. There's a difference. Stop right there.
Understanding of consent. And
You don't need consent to say something inappropriate. I'm sorry. You don't.
respect that I think has gotten very confused in our culture that has set up a space that can make all of that happen.
No, the confusion comes from people like you who constantly blur the line between the two, even though the line should be as visible as this line. There is a difference from saying inappropriate things and sexually assaulting somebody. And you women, all 7 of you, need to be more firm about that.
You know, in my business, in my law firm, several people have come to me and said, I just don't know what to say. I just don't know what to do. And I said, you know the difference between right and wrong. Is it a conversation that you would be comfortable going home at night and telling your wife or your mother that you had? If you are uncomfortable in telling them about this conversation, then you shouldn't have it. Do you think?
Very true words. Again, she's the only one not the only one, but she and Reese are the only one I feel like have credibility in this area. And she actually seems like she's taking this seriously. And that's actually a very cogent point that she made. You know, if this isn't a conversation you could have outside of work, then you probably should never have had it. So
Home at night and telling your wife or your mother that you had. If you are uncomfortable in telling them about this conversation, then you shouldn't have it.
Do you think some men need some relearning?
Oh, yes.
Can we play that again? I love this.
About this conversation, then you shouldn't have it.
Do you think some men need some relearning?
Oh, yes. And also,
You see that? They all were in agreement with that. Yet when asked some serious questions like, you know, being part of the Me Too movement, only a couple of them spoke out. Or when it came to Woody Allen, one person said something. It should have been universal between all 7 of them. They should have been like, yeah, it's time's up for that guy. But no, only she said something about it being time's up. And then she tried to dance away from it. She tried to change the subject, saying, oh no, it's time's up for silence. No, it's time's up for creeps like Woody Allen. But she was the only one. But when we talk about men needing to relearn, oh yeah, men, they need to be educated, they need to be taught. Now, to Oprah's point, she said some men. She didn't say all men. So that's a fair point. But why men only? Shouldn't all the sexes have to relearn something? And why relearn? Maybe educate, not relearn. Educate. The wording was poor on Oprah's part. She did well at first, but then saying relearn was the wrong word. She should have used the word educate. Should we educate some men? And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Educating them would be good. But that just really bothered me. They all in unison were like, oh yeah, we definitely need to relearn some of these men. But you know, when it came to other topics that you all should have been unified about, only 1 or 2 of you said anything. Really showing your colors there, girls.
also the thing that's always surprising to me, I am a strong, outspoken, powerful woman, and there are places and ways and times that I am even afraid to speak up. There are environments that we all work in that support a culture of harassment or a culture of any of those things that it's
Inappropriateness.
yes, of inappropriateness under the guise of humor, under the
So we can't tell inappropriate jokes anymore. Okay. Because it hurts your feelings. Wonderful. Thanks. I really appreciate that.
guise of all these things, or I'm just complimenting you. All of those kinds of things that it's like, yes, but yeah, but you're, or why aren't you smiling, honey? Or you know, all of those kinds of
I honestly who says that anymore? That's like something from the 80s and 90s, or even later than that. I feel like those ways have ended, or at least I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm seeing the world from a smaller lens. But I've not been in a workplace where someone said something like that. Why aren't you smiling more? And okay, wait, no, correction. I have been in a workplace that said that before. You know who said that though? It was a woman. A woman said to another woman, "Why aren't you smiling?" It happened actually very recently. I work as a sales rep and a radio station here on Guam. And one of the women talked to the other woman saying, why aren't you smiling? You're more prettier when you smile. I'm like, wow. That's what, now I know that's anecdotal, but that threw me off because I thought that was mostly from men. The fact I saw it from a woman was kind of jarring. So, and the woman who said it was very old, by the way. So she had old school mentalities. So I feel like that's something that's slowly dying nowadays. You're not going to see a lot of guys saying, you're more prettier when you smile, or I'm just kidding. Most people, when they tell jokes, they tell, like, especially if it's extremely offensive jokes, they'll tell it to somebody that they know would be comfortable hearing that joke, someone that they have a good relationship with. I wouldn't just go up to a random stranger and tell some of the off humor jokes or off color jokes that I would tell somebody that I'm close with. I don't get this point that she's trying to make. She seems very misguided in this whole endeavor. I feel like she's using this as a way to prop herself up rather than to help the cause.
Of things that play into an overall idea of what the role that I am supposed to be playing as a woman. If it's scary for me to speak up.
Yes. But the question, Tracy, is how is this measured? How do we make the punishment fit the crime? For somebody who's saying, I was just complimenting you versus somebody who is actively a predator.
Great question once again, Oprah.
Somebody who's saying, I was just complimenting you versus somebody who is actively a predator.
But maybe there isn't an answer for that yet.
What? See, that's one of two big red flags in this video. There's not an answer there is a clear answer for that. There's a clear answer for that. They're different. So the punishment for both should be different. In fact, one shouldn't even be punishable. I don't think saying a joke should be punishable. If we start doing that, then you basically are trying to censor people, which goes against the First Amendment. Just because you didn't like a joke doesn't mean that joke should not be said. We put feelings over logic here. Hear what she said again. This is so stupid. There's not an answer for that? Are you fucking kidding me?
Speak up.
Yes. But the question, Tracy, is how is this measured? How do we make the punishment fit the crime? For somebody who's saying, I was just complimenting you versus somebody who is actively a predator.
But maybe there isn't an answer for that yet.
There is. If someone is telling an inappropriate joke and maybe is constantly telling you this joke, bring it up to HR and maybe HR can dock a bit of their pay. Maybe some sort of other punishment in-house. Can't say inappropriate things like that to this person, or maybe they'll make it company-wide. But bring that up. If someone sexually assaults you, that person should be fired immediately. They should not be in the workplace. But someone who tells an inappropriate joke, I don't see why that should equate to being fired. Tracy, I have no idea what you were thinking by saying that. There is an answer. And the whole point of the Time's Up movement was to give these answers. How is it not time to have that conversation? God damn it, woman.
And once someone has been accused of this bad behavior, this inappropriateness, is there, do you believe, a path to learning and then overcoming those mistakes and doing better? Is there?
I think what she was trying to ask is there a way to educate and then try to bring them back into Hollywood as a better person? Should there be forgiveness for their actions after they've shown like some sort of remorse, went through the process of changing themselves to become better? Should we allow them back in?
Where is forgiveness?
There.
I think there's a lot of room for reconciliation. I think
I love
there's
that
a
she spoke
time
out.
to approach people and tell the truth and have them listen thoughtfully and meaningfully and apologize sincerely.
So once somebody's been accused of sexual harassment and loses their job, should they ever work
I'm not here to make that decision.
Oh my God. You were doing so well, Reese. You were doing so well. And that was a great question by Oprah. Listen to it again.
Tell the truth and listen.
This was a sincere response from Reese. And keep in mind, again, she is one of 2 women in this panel that has shared her story of assault. And it seems as though when she shared her story, or if her response to the question seems as though she was able to maybe meet the person that sexually assaulted her, forgive that person, and then move on from it. Now, I don't know if that guy ever worked again, but it seemed as though she made some strides to better herself and to get closure. That's what you need to do. And I liked her response here. I did not like her follow-up though.
Meaningfully and apologize sincerely.
So once somebody's been accused of sexual harassment and loses their job, should they ever work again?
If they have shown the capability of bettering themselves, if they have shown true remorse and have shown clearly that they have worked to better themselves to make sure they won't commit these behaviors again, I think they should be allowed to work again. That's like condemning a criminal because of his past deeds, even though he may have turned the other cheek or been rehabilitated, denying them a chance to get a sustainable job to make a living. That's basically what Reese is saying, or that's basically what Reese is implying by not answering the question. Because she says that she doesn't know if she can answer that right now. When you can. The answer is if and only if they shown that they were willing to better themselves and were truly sorry for their actions, do we allow them back into the society? Forgiveness does need to play a part in the Time's Up movement.
I'm not here to make that decision.
I'm not a lawyer.
Just having a conversation for the world.
But this conversation, by the way, has caused a lot of arguments for me at dinner parties. There's been a lot of shouting across a lot of tables about this. Because some people really feel like, no, that's it for them. And some people feel like they're not so sure. I mean, I was raised in a world in which I believe that there has to be a belief that people can grow, change, and learn.
Correct.
And know better. I mean, not if you committed a crime. I feel like you need to go do your time for your crime. But I do believe people have to be able to grow, change, and learn from their mistakes at a certain point. There has to be room for reconciliation in a weird way. But a lot of people don't think that right now. And a lot of women have the right to not feel that right now.
No, they do not have the right to feel that right now. They have no right to feel that. Your previous statement was good, though. That reconciliation does need to play a part. But women not having the right to feel that way right now, no, they don't have the right to feel that way right now. Because at that point, they're not thinking logically, they're thinking emotionally. And the thing is, in this movement, it's time to put the emotions aside and actually look at it from a logical standpoint. The emotions were the Me Too movement. Time's Up should be better structured and have a clear goal, which this video has shown that they don't.
And speaking of this moment, as a culture, we've gone from not listening, hearing, but believing women. And how are we going to skip over the whole part where women get to be heard and go straight to the redemption of the perpetrators?
Yeah.
We have been in the era of listening to women for the past 10 years. Hell, maybe even longer. You act as though we just started listening to women. Do you not remember the UVA case that happened in 2013? Did that not happen? She was automatically believed that she was gang raped. And then when it was proven that she was lying, people were like, well, it could have happened. We're listening. We're past the point of we're not listening to women. We are now at the point of redemption. We need to be at that point now, America. I don't get why you would say that we jump right away to redemption. We're not. We've been in the era of listening to women. It's time to be in that era of redemption.
Can we live in that space where it's okay for perpetrators to be a little bit uncomfortable with what the consequences will be?
not if they weren't the perpetrators, not if these are false allegations. You need to be more clear about that. Now, if they really did the crime, yes, they should feel very uncomfortable for doing it. But if there's no proof, there's no evidence, and you're just throwing out allegations left and right, no, they should not have to feel that way, America. The fact that you can't even disseminate between the two is alarming and scary. Listen to what she said again.
Not listening, hearing, or believing women. And how are we going to skip over the whole part where women get to be heard and go straight to
We didn't
the
skip it.
redemption of the perpetrators?
Yeah.
Can't we live in that space where it's okay for perpetrators to be a little bit uncomfortable with what the consequences will be?
Again, not if it's not true. You're acting like judge, jury, and executioner. You get to decide what the punishment is. No, that's not your job. Your job is to enlighten and entertain. That's bullshit, America. And the fact that you have she has this sort of air to her where she just wants to, I'm trying to think of the word properly, but she seems very vengeful. And not considering what happened to her, I can understand that. But shouldn't she show some sort of humbleness, especially if it comes to people that are falsely accused? I feel like there's a lack of tenderness in this, a lack of forward thinking, three-dimensional thinking outside of just one area and seeing the bigger picture. She only sees a snippet of the picture. And it's rhetoric like this that's going to kill this movement in the future.
Can you speak to how the speaking out of your own truth and telling your story? Because I think I was in the room the very first time you shared your story, Reese. And how has the speaking out of it actually led to a greater sense of empowerment and control?
Well, I don't know if I've gotten to that place yet. As you can see, I'm very emotional about it. But I keep going back to, somebody sent me this Ely Wiesel quote that said, silence helps the tormentors, it doesn't help the tormented. And neutrality helps the oppressors, not the oppressed. And there's moments that you have to evaluate whether silence is going to be your only option. And certain times that was our only option, but now is not that time. You know, we have public voices, we have resources, but women who are workers in this country have nothing to gain in certain instances by coming forward, that we want to help. Like, it gives me strength.
See, I honestly believe she's the only one that truly believes in this movement, or at least she's coming from a place of, she's coming from a good place. That's the way I want to put it. A lot of these other women, especially, I'm starting to think both Natalie Portman and I keep forgetting her name. What's her name again? Tracy and Natalie. I feel like this is an agenda for them. I'll give her some leeway. I'll give America some. Also, Kathleen, it feels agenda driven. Reese and the lawyer lady are the only ones I actually believe in this group of ladies. They're the only ones I feel like actually have some passion about the Time's Up movement, from one person that was a victim to somebody that thinks very logically. You know, I would love for them to be the face of this movement. They should be the leaders because they seem to know what they're talking about.
To hopefully help other women.
Okay, there we go. We're done with that. Let's go back here now. Okay, so I know that was much longer than expected, but I had a lot to say regarding that video, and it really made me see this movement in a very bad light. I feel like there is no direction, and the people who seem to have a clear direction aren't the ones taking charge and being the leaders that they need to be. Reese and that lawyer woman should be the face of this movement. They should, because they actually seem as if they know what they're talking about. They actually have a goal in mind. That shit is important. The other women, not so much. It doesn't even seem like they have an end goal. But yeah, I just think that the Time's Up movement sucks at this point in time. It's more about attacking and accusing rather than bringing justice to those who have not gotten any. And it's ironic that the people being accused are not facing any justice, both in the good way and in the bad way. Well, what I mean the bad way is they're not being brought to court for this. They're not being brought through the proper steps. Stop going onto Twitter and saying, "Oh, great job, James Franco. Remember that time you raped me?" Like, if someone has done such an atrocity, they should be brought to the law. They should be brought to justice. Putting it out there for the public to see is not justice. That's just airing out your grievances. Anyway, I wonder why they don't support male abuse victims. See, that's my point too. I know that there are male victims out there. They should be in this discussion. They should have been in that interview. The fact that it was a majority of women and it was a woman asking other women. I'm glad that Oprah didn't throw many softball questions. She actually did ask the right questions. But it would have been interesting to see a guy actually interview these women and see how they would act around him. Would they treat him with respect? Would they answer his questions appropriately if, in fact, they were harsher than usual? I don't know. But I'm going to end this chat now because I actually got a lot of work to do. I'm working on another video, a review. It's going to be a different review than I usually do, so that'll be on the other channel. And also, I'm going to be participating in a game with JoJo Talks Too Much, Wukong, and not Macklenaut, Ku Cullen. All three of us are going to be playing, or all four of us, I guess. All four of us are going to be playing a waifu game, so that's exciting. I'll be sure to I'll make a video on my other channel promoting it so you guys can come and join us because it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. Thank you all for watching. Sorry it turned into a bit of a ramble. I'm just so sick and tired of the Time's Up movement. I want it to be done. Time's up on this shit. I'll see you soon.